So I think it's time to move on to our big topic of the week with group chat.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a special all Apple edition of the podcast last week. And while I hate to double down on that Appleness, we did publish a whole lot of Apple reviews this week, and we have more coming.
Mm-hmm.
So it only makes sense
And then we'll be done for a little while.
Yeah.
Assuming new iPads and laptops don't come out, which they might.
Fingers crossed they don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I figured it only makes sense to kind of revisit that for the week now that we've gotten our hands on the new iPhone, the Apple Watch, and all of this other fun stuff, and kind of see, check the lay of the land. So I'm not going to lie, I have not played with the new iPhone, so I'm going to rely on you, Dana, to kind of tell me a bit about it and walk me through.
You haven't even, so we actually have samples in the office of both the new, I'm going to start easy for you.
Okay.
Of the new.
Assume I know nothing because I know nothing.
Yeah, we do that.
All right, I'll go easy on you. So we have units in the office of both the new shiny-ish, glossy jet black finish and the new matte black. The jet black has been a bit of a source of controversy just because although it's new, it picks up smudges very easily. Apple's like, you just wipe it off. HP said the same thing about the Spectre 13.
So that is one thing I'm going to say. I haven't had a chance to play with them, as I said, but I did see that phone in
Picks up
Chris
scratches.
Velasco's hand.
It looks pretty dinged up.
Yeah, like after a day, it looked like he'd already owned that phone for about 2 months.
He's a guy who he loves phones and therefore treats them, well, he tries.
Yeah, he tries to keep them.
But my thing, too, it picks up smudges and scratches. I don't like that it's so 3GS-y. It's iPhone 3G-ish in a way that isn't cute to me. I personally, do what you guys want. I would get the matte black if I were in the market for an iPhone.
Matte black definitely looked a lot better when I saw it, yeah.
I mean, it's got kind of like a rounded, super shiny, high-polished back and everything, the jet black one, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's, yeah.
Plus, I use a case anyway, always. So it doesn't really matter to me. Hey, look. Hey.
I use a case.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Am I
but
the only-
Bonehead doesn't use a case.
Am I the
Exactly.
only person who, like, literally never uses a case ever?
Like Dana said, bonehead.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only ever broken one phone. Well, 2 phones.
Don't look
but
at me.
one of those was on purpose. It doesn't count.
Okay.
I won't derail the conversation.
yeah,
Keep going.
Yeah. Let's just,
So otherwise, physically, right?
Yeah.
It's an iPhone. I mean, there's the whole headphone jack thing.
yep.
So let's talk about that real quick, because I'm sort of interested in this. And we had the Moto Z didn't have a headphone jack either. And is there another phone that was also missing the headphone jack, or is those the only 2?
These
right
are the first two.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Presumably not the last.
Yeah.
is it as much of a deal breaker as a lot of people fear?
It wasn't for Chris, our reviewer, and I've been reading some other reviews from other sites that we trust, and it didn't seem to be for them either. I think it was a big enough of annoyance that it made the cons list on our review card and a lot of other people's review cards, but it did not stop us or other people from giving the iPhone pretty strong reviews.
Yeah.
Does it come-
especially since the adapter comes in the box, and so do Lightning headphones. So
Okay, that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Does the adapter come in the box?
the whole idea that this is a scheme to make, on Apple's part, to make you spend more money is not necessarily true. You can listen to your music out of the box using either the headphones they provide or the ones you already own.
Although, I recommend you don't use the headphones that come in the box.
Yeah, my main concern with the lightning-based headphones is that you can't charge and listen to music at the same time, which some people do at my work desk.
I don't, but I don't know if you do.
Yeah, I do that when I'm at work. Like, I want to have it charged and still listen to music when people are being loud.
So I have a question about that, because that's something that many people have also brought up to
Yeah.
me. Devindra Hardwar, one of our editors, also said the same thing, that like I want to be able to charge my phone while I'm listening to my music. And that seemed like a really bizarre use case to me. Like, aren't you sitting at a computer at that point then?
But it's easier to pull up Spotify on my phone. It's easier to control the playback of my music just by doing this. And that's
But you
one
can
thing.
do that on a desktop. Like, that
I
works.
use my mouse.
It would be an issue for me. The one time I think it would be an issue were if I were at an airport gate trying to
Right.
charge and top up my phone, but also kill time and listen to music.
Yeah, I was in a cab last night when I was at 1% battery, and I really wanted to have my music on as well, so I plugged in my headphones.
So it does happen.
Yeah, it does happen
Okay.
a bunch.
Fair enough.
Ha!
I've just very rarely,
And-
if ever, encountered that use case.
I think I've already read about an adapter that
Yep.
would allow you to do both.
Yep, there's that, yep.
But it's never a good sign when a product comes out and another third party immediately releases an accessory to solve a problem you've created.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, I have no huge problem with taking away the headphone jack. I'd rather use just the wireless, the Airpods, actually. And I know Velasco reviewed them already. And I was reading his. I love the idea at first until I saw that the touch controls aren't as like fully functional as I had hoped for them to be.
He did not love those, right?
He gave them a score, I believe, of 79.
I can pull it up
It was in
real
the high
quick.
70s, the
Yeah.
score that we gave, which suggests that we wouldn't go so far as to say we don't recommend them.
Yeah.
but
79, you were
Yeah,
correct.
really what he's saying is hold off on this first generation, which is what we've said of certain other first generation Apple products, including the original Apple Watch, I believe. He thinks the concept has potential.
I agree.
I agree too, and so many companies are working on it. Apple might not be the first to deliver a truly great set of wireless earbuds,
Yeah.
but somebody is going to get it right, I believe.
So, I'm going to seriously question our score on this right now on the podcast. What makes these worthy of this? Like here's the thing: is I get that you think that Velasco thinks they have potential, in that they're wireless headphones and nobody's like truly wireless Bluetooth headphones and nobody's done that really well yet. But I'm reading the cons here for our review, and it says the audio quality is mediocre. The design is not for everybody, and they're expensive. Like they're $160.
They are expensive.
Like I can get a pair of Bluetooth headphones that are much better audio quality, won't fall out of my ears the moment I like tilt my head to the side, and don't make it look like I've stuck Q-tips in my ears for the same price, if not cheaper.
So not for you then.
Yeah, well, they're obviously not for me.
Yeah.
I guess my thing is I'm not convinced by the Pro, and I want somebody to sell me on this.
I think what you're haggling over ultimately is a handful of points. I think even if we gave it a harsher score, it would have been in the 70s, maybe lower 70s. And I'm just looking at the curve of Engadget scores and the way we.
I am not currently staring at the curve. Also, how often do we review headphones? Not very often, right?
Sometimes.
Well,
I mean,
so there's been kind of an emergence of truly wireless earbuds, right? And in that space, it's new. So for Apple to kind of deliver something that is as finished as the AirPods, it's already kind of impressive. They're synced well. Some of the ones that exist in the market right now don't. They sometimes drop in and out with Bluetooth and stuff. These, you can at least expect them to work well with your iPhone. That's one thing that Apple will definitely have working.
Well, I mean, I think the one of the selling points I think that is good is the integration with the
Yeah.
iPhone and the iOS. When you open up the weird,
Box.
the like
The
dental floss looking
carrying
box,
case, yeah.
the little card pops up to tell you that the headphones are connected, what the charge is, all
It's
that.
fast,
Like
right?
that's really nice.
Yeah.
It's super impressive. I mean, I don't know if that integration is worth $160 to me.
Right, and that's a con. That's for sure a con. But overall, you can't deny it. It's a good product that's worthy of a good score. We've also reviewed products that are just dumpster fires, and they deserve lower scores than 7.
And this
right.
is-
I mean,
This is not a dumpster fire, to be
This is
clear.
not a dumpster.
not a dumpster fire. It's a little overpriced.
It is.
The audio quality isn't bad. It's just not really much better than a standard set of
Right,
earpods.
that you could get maybe at the same.
And the design thing is kind of a knock, but also somewhat comes down to personal preference. And I also think certain people can pull it off
Yeah,
better than others.
I like them. I actually like them. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people were joking about how it looks like a cigarette butt sticking out of your ears, but
I haven't heard a cigarette butt. I've heard a Q-tip. I've heard an electric toothbrush.
oh, okay.
The electric toothbrush one is actually super convincing when you see it side by side.
True. But, I mean, I don't hate the design. I know that there are people who are, but I like the familiarity of it. It's basically like my earbuds right now, except without the wires, and that's very handy.
I guess I don't know. I'm very skeptical of these things. Obviously,
Sure.
I think this is to me one of like the more obvious missteps I think that Apple has made. in general
Okay.
in recent years. And I am admittedly also not the hugest Apple fanboy to begin with. So I mean, I'm looking for somebody to give me the hard sell here because I'm just not convinced by the
I
middle.
can't. I mean, the same way I couldn't quite give you the hard sell on the original Apple Watch, and that got a similar score. And I think we had similar feelings where this has promise, but you wouldn't necessarily want to spend your own money on the first generation.
Fair enough.
I fully agree with Velasco. It's a wait for the second gen thing. Yeah. Or at least a new type of software update that makes it more useful.
Right.
But there's more exciting products, though. I'm more excited about the Apple Watch Series 2,
Yes.
actually.
So that's
This-
I want to hear
Yeah.
about. Yeah, you got that.
So I'm wearing it. I happen to be wearing the 42 millimeter one. Normally, I would be wearing the 38 millimeter. But, so excuse the fact that it looks a little bit big on me. But
That's all right. If they're listening, they can't see it anyway.
It otherwise, so just getting this out of the way, it basically looks the same as the first generation.
Yeah.
Apple said it is 0.9 millimeters taller on both devices, but you'd have to really do a side-by-side comparison and then start looking at them. When I was at the Apple event last week and I had this whole table full of watches in front of me, it didn't immediately click that the dimensions had changed at all. So you can wear the same bands as the last generation. So if for some reason you were already upgrading from the first generation to the second, you could still use your bands. So, I mean, what really makes it different is the built-in GPS radio, which I'll be using on my training runs this weekend.
Yep.
It's waterproof. I don't have access to a pool, but V has access to water. So he's going to go swimming with it this weekend with his new Series 2 watch. So that's all going to be incorporated into the review that we have coming out next week. And it runs watchOS 3, so it has this dock here. But of course, the watchOS 3 software update is also available to the original watch, which is now called the Series 1.
Yeah.
So it comes out of the box, but I don't want to say that the software is one of the things that makes this special.
Because you can get it on the other one, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, and there's a faster processor inside, which is also going to ship starting tomorrow, Friday. When this airs, I guess it'll be Friday.
Yeah,
But
today.
yeah. So it's about to start shipping in the original Watch 2. So
Oh, okay. So fewer and fewer differences from the
fewer
original
differences. This is available in a ceramic model that got a
that's
lot of attention.
Yeah.
That replaces the gold edition as sort of Apple's highest
Luxury.
and most premium model, and we're not testing that
Yeah.
today.
How much is the porcelain model, by the way? Or the ceramic model, sorry.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
I should know that offhand. It's more than 1,000, but I
It's
think
like 1,500 or something.
yeah,
Okay.
it's not. It's lower than 1,500, but more than 1,000. So it's in like the
But not
that range.
nearly as ridiculous as the solid
No,
gold
it's
Apple
not a
Watch.
$17,000
Okay.
watch.
That's good. That's a step in the right direction.
Apple, I mean, it's not that Apple doesn't want these devices to be stylish. And indeed, I think the selling point here is that it is a sports watch that is more stylish than what I could get from Garmin,
Yeah.
let's say,
Yeah.
or other competing companies, maybe even Fitbit, right?
Definitely more than Fitbit.
Ooh.
I'm wearing the Fitbit Charge 2, guys.
But that's a fitness tracker. That's not like.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
think
meant to be a
Fitbit has its own smartwatch equivalent that is, I think, a less attractive product than what you have
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fitbit does not. I'm a fan of Fitbit products in general, but they're not really like super attractive.
Right.
They're not,
So-
they're not stylish. That's not the word I use.
Apple is stylish and they want to be stylish, but I think they've lowered their bar to the extent that they want to be a stylish fitness tracker and not
A watch.
a Rolex
Right.
Yeah.
competitor.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of interesting because, that's a lot of the software updates and the few hardware changes that there are with the Watch Series 2 all seem to be like very fitness focused. They've kind of realized
Yeah.
that the smartwatch, its real home is fitness tracking.
I mean, even with the original, the thing I liked best about it was always the activity app. It was really fun to complete my rings every day and compete against myself. And I got annoyed if for some reason I forgot my watch or the watch ran out of battery and I didn't get credit for the walking and running I did. But I wouldn't use it for actual runs, at least not while also wearing my Garmin because the distance tracking was so off. And if the distance tracking is off, so is my pace. And
Yep.
I want to know these things in really accurate terms.
Sorry, go ahead.
I know a lot of people who aren't hardcore fitness enthusiasts that buy the Apple Watch as well. And for those people, for me, I'm not a fitness nerd, but I'm a smartwatch lover. I would want a more stylish option. I would first of all want a not so square face. The band options are great. I just wish they weren't as expensive. There's that nylon one, which does not look good to me. So I do wish that Apple would kind of make more or take more chances with that. But they also, during the event, didn't they show how they've taken over most of these traditional watch brands as the second top selling watch in the market, even compared to traditional brands now? They're like right under Rolex or something.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
So they're
claim
kind
that.
of going after the traditional watch audience as well if they're showing me stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would question there is Apple may have very different goals in terms of how many units they're going to sell
Right.
versus a more limited edition specialty kind of
Yeah.
brand. I mean, these Apple Watches, for all we talk about them, are disposable goods. Apple's going to make and sell a lot, and people are going to replace them.
all the time.
And I think that's an important distinction is nobody
yeah.
goes out and buys a watch thinking to themselves, I'm going to have to trade in my Timex next year to get the new
yeah.
one. Like,
Right.
that's not how the watch industry works.
No, yeah.
Right. If my expensive Swiss watch, I will keep for life, hopefully.
I mean,
So
I'll
you're-
keep my cheap American watch for life, probably.
So we're basically saying that units sold is kind of a weird measurement for them to be comparing against these traditional.
Yes.
I just don't think it's
It's not an
that
apt
fair.
comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more interested in how Apple's watch sales compare, let's say, to Fossil, which also makes
Yep.
Smartwatches.
cheap.
The Q founder.
Well, and cheap watches that you wouldn't expect to own
Yep.
forever, you know?
True.
But, or, you know, you can compare specifically smartwatch sales to Samsung smartwatch sales. But
I think that's the more apt thing. I mean, here's I have a whole lot of problem with them directly comparing the sales to watch sales. I mean, because even you're saying Fossil with their cheap disposable, but like a cheap disposable watch, as long as it's not like
you'll
coming
still
in,
keep it longer.
Yeah.
it's as long as it's not coming in a Happy Meal or out of like a quarter machine at a deli or something.
I
like
love those, yeah.
you're going to be holding on to that for years. I've had
Mm-hmm.
the same crappy Timex for at least 5 or 6 years
Yeah.
now. I've had some other watch that I picked up at like the MoMA store for almost a decade, and like we're not talking like a really fancy high end MoMA
Mm. Yeah.
like thing. Like it's designed well, but it was $110
And also,
watch.
Apple stats reflect its first and only year in
Yep.
the watch industry. So
Yep.
it's like,
It's a new product, a new space for somebody to be entering.
right. I mean, I think a better question is how and if will they maintain this momentum
Yeah. I
going
mean,
forward.
the fact that they're it's kind of a yearly upgrade thing kind of brings to mind this question. Should you, since there's so little differences between the two series, should you be buying the old one since it's cheaper by $100?
I mean, especially for people like you who don't consider themselves fitness
Yeah.
nuts.
I don't need my pace,
And
no.
yeah, if you don't own a smartwatch already, I'd suggest most people buy the Series 1, which again is getting upgraded with the same processor.
Yeah.
Will also have watchOS 3, and
Yeah.
it'll cost $100 less. I think that'll be important going into holiday season too.
What is it? 270?
269 or 249?
Yeah, not that 269 is already a little expensive for, let's
Yeah.
say, a stocking stuffer.
Yeah.
But I think it's a more accessible gift for someone than a $369.
For
And
sure.
that puts it more in line with some of the Android Wear watches as well.
Yep.
They weren't competing at the lower end of that market.
Yeah. I mean, the Android Wear watches start at $150.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, keep in
I
mind
mean, those are not necessarily great
Not
products,
great, but
we're talking about a product that, even though it's much improved, our peers in the tech industry are saying it's still something you might want but not need, right?
Yep.
yeah.
So for something that's not a necessity, that no one is saying is a necessity,
Yeah.
the price should be as aggressive as possible for
Yeah.
Apple.
Agreed. I mean, so my best friend bought the original Apple Watch, and I'm just thinking of whether I should recommend that she buy the new one or if she should go for the 269 one. Do you know if Apple plans to like offer some kind of rebate for people who already own the existing one? It doesn't make sense to just buy a new one to me. You know what I mean? They're not going to.
I haven't heard anything about that.
I'll
I
ask
think,
them.
Apple would probably prefer people focus on the software update and the speed improvements and just experience improvements that would bring.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but yeah, it's not quite the same as not all the same as what you're suggesting.
Yeah.
It seems like you should probably just hold on to
Just
it.
hold on to it.
Yeah.
Get that.
It's like the every other year upgrade cycle for a phone. You should probably do every
Especially
other model
again,
for the
since they
watch,
look
too.
the same, you don't get the status symbol of
owning
something that looks different. And
Nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
You know, if you had, on the flip side, if you had any complaints about the original's design, they're not going to be addressed here.
Right.
Unless your complaints were the GPS and
Water resistance.
water resistance, in which case you might upgrade, or maybe you didn't purchase in the first place because you were
Yeah.
upset
Waiting
about
on
those.
But even then, you
Yes.
wouldn't buy the Series 1. You wouldn't buy
would
you'd
get
buy the
the-
more expensive. You'd be investing in a nearly $400 Apple
And that
Watch.
makes sense for those people,
Yeah.
I think.
Still though,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna buy it.
Neither am I, but
yeah.
I also don't understand smartwatches.
I
as a
love
general thing.
smartwatches, but
I'm okay with my Timex.
we didn't actually talk about the iPhone 7 Plus's dual camera.
We did not.
But do we
And
have
we're going to
time?
have to revisit that because one of the most exciting features,
I know,
the
it's
shallow depth of field, is coming through a software update
Yep.
later this fall. So
What?
Yeah, that's all I'm waiting for, and
What?
they're making me wait.
So I mean, we've played with the camera to the
Yeah.
extent we can, and Chris was impressed, and it's one of the reasons he gave the V Plus a slightly higher score than the 7.
right.
But we haven't tested it as much as we'd like, or as much as
Yeah.
We're gonna have to revisit it and
I can't
probably
wait.
update our review.
I can't
after.
wait. Yeah, because that's the main feature that might make me buy the Plus if
Yeah.
I even upgrade this year, because I want that bokeh, the sweet bokeh. It's beautiful. It might make you look good.
Nothing can make me
That's
look
true.
good.
Let's be real.
I have a face made for radio, as they like to say.
That only
or
your mom might
podcasting.
love. I don't know.
Mostly podcasting.
True. Yeah.
Because radio is a dying form.
That's why you hide it with all that hair, right?
Yeah, if I did not have this beard, I would look like a really jacked up 12-year-old, basically.
Okay. Sure.
He thinks he's jacked up.
Exactly. I know.
I think that's an excellent place to end this episode.
Jacked up 12-year-olds?
I'm sorry. One day we'll end a podcast without somebody insulting you.
Nah, not gonna happen.
No, I'm,
Next week we're on your on vacation, so we'll insult you
Yes.
in your absence.
Yeah.
yes, please,
We'll remote
actually.
insult you.
I'm perfectly okay with it. The entire next episode is just dedicated to hurling insults at me.
We're not asking permission. We don't need your permission, by the way.
Okay, I'm not.
I'm perfectly okay with the I'm a child. I'm a 12-year-old. Like, let's be real. Also, there's a hair in my water, Steve, just so you know. If this is water, not vodka.
It's probably your hair.
Sure, it is.
It's not my hair. It's so short. It's like some other kind of hair. Mm-hmm. Your beard hair. Oh, my God.
Are we
Anyway, go ahead.
okay, are we good?
Yeah, we're good. I'm not drinking this.
All right.
Hi, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And bye, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me today, Cherlynn.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you on the internet?
Nowhere. On Snowden. No, okay, fine. At Cherlynn Low. Oh, my God, they're staring at me.
Dana, thank you as well. Where can the fine people find you on the internet? On the internet.
I am at Dana Wollman. That is my full name with no space on Twitter.
And I am at Terrence O'Brien, lots of E's, no A's on Twitter. And you can also hit us up at Engadget or at Engadget Podcast on Twitter. You can email us at podcast@engadget.com, or you can just scream into the wind. But
hear ya.
basically, though, just send us feedback. Let us know what you think. Send complaints, compliments.
that.
Tell Cherlynn to stop being so mean to me all the time. And make sure to join us next week when I am not going to be here and somebody else will be sitting in this seat dealing with Cherlynn's rage and hatred.
I might not be here.
Please make sure to subscribe in iTunes or whatever podcast app of choice. Rate us on there because ratings are good. They help us get more subscribers. And I am not going to lie. I completely forgot to get a comment of the week this week. So you're going to be left without one.
You see why I hate him?
But still, I failed at my job, and that's on me.
And the truth is, we don't like reading the comments.
It's true.
You shouldn't either.
No one should.
I don't like reading the comments, but I like reading the comment of the week. And I still kind of enjoy reading your comments, no matter what they are. So thank you for watching and listening, and make sure to join us again next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.